presentation of our 2013 Patrick C. Fetterman Award. This is one of the very special moments of the year for not only the Clark Foundation, but for the Clark Sports Center. This award was established in 1993 by the Clark Foundation to honor the qualities that Pat brought to us when he was our longtime associate director. Outstanding sportsmanship, inspired leadership, and caring service. It recognizes great people in our community who are dedicated to positively affecting the lives of children through sports. All of our past recipients have changed more than one young person's life, be it by a word of encouragement, a smile, a lesson, or just by being there. And many of them are here with us today, and those of you who are, please stand when I introduce you and remain standing until we've introduced all of our 19 award recipients. In 1993, Beanie Ainsley. 1994, Jack Vineyard. 1995, Ted Kenrowski. 1996, Malcolm Brooks. 1997 and 1998, Jerry Townsend. Don Howard in 1999. Dick White in 2000, and his widow Janet is here with us today. 2001, Ed and Pat Hazard. Sharky Nagelschmidt in 2002. Frank Myasek in 2003. 2004, the award went to Ted Spencer. In 2005, Terry Bliss. 2006, Dave Adsit. Bob Snyder in 2007. Connie Herzig in 2008. Brenda Weatherspoon Gray in 2009. In 2010, Paul Lambert received the award. Paul. In 2011, Bruce Andrews. And in 2012, Brenda Yeager. A great group of Fetterman Award winners. And now I'd like to introduce you to the Fetterman Award Selection Committee, and it'll give us an opportunity to thank them for their wonderful work in selecting our 2013 winner. So again, please stand when I introduce you and remain standing. The committee chair, Brenda Weatherspoon Gray, Val Page, Rose Crane, Kathy Graham, Barry Gray, Rich Jancy, Jim Jordan, Scott Whiteman, and Sharky Nagelschmidt. Great job, everybody. And our 2013 recipient of the Patrick Fetterman Award is Dave Bliss. There is only one question that I think we all have about Dave winning this award, and it's, why hasn't he won it sooner? Because there is no one of any age in this community that hasn't seen his extraordinary integrity, leadership, sportsmanship, and community service, and all done with his trademark of great humility and a smile. With sports in the community started in 1979 when he began refereeing high school basketball games, which he did until 1987. Since 1993, he's been a volunteer youth basketball referee at the Sports Center. Beginning in 1998, he spent 4 years as a volunteer assistant coach for the varsity boys basketball team. From 1999 to 2002, and from 2006 to 2007, he was an AAU basketball coach. From 1992 to 2006, 14 years, Dave served as a youth soccer coach. He's been a Little League, Pony League, and American Legion baseball coach for the last 19 years, and a Clark Sports Center varsity softball coach for the past 12 years. And this year was named the Utica Observer Dispatch Coach of the Year. As I said, there isn't a member of this community of any age which hasn't benefited from the presence of Dave Bliss. Adding to his involvement with youth sports and the Clark Sports Center, he's deeply involved with and committed to the Cooperstown Rotary Club, the Cooperstown Food Pantry, the Farmers Museum, Otsego Land Trust, and the town of Middlefield, serving as town supervisor for 22 years. Many have a master's degree in education and are a New York State certified school coach, as Dave has and is. But few have coupled that with extraordinary integrity, sportsmanship, compassion, leadership, a sense of humor, and energy, so that they could show so many of our youth how to have self-esteem, how to have confidence, and be great individuals. And also to have a community be much, much better off because of their quiet, strong leadership than Dave Bliss. Congratulations. Fred would be furious. Yeah. As you all know, this is the time where we ask if anybody would like to add anything to what I've said so far about Dave. Welcome. Any remarks from the floor?
First, congratulations, Dave. We have a long history as family. I can recall when you and your sisters and your father would come over to our little farm in Todsville and mow our hay down, and our two boys were actually totally excited that the Blisses were coming. And when we'd be in church and your dad would be marching you down the side aisle to get into your pews, the boys would be poking, saying, "There's David, there's Tim, there's Joanne, there they are." So we have a long lineage, and again, it's just great to see you have accomplished all that you have, and it was a pleasure to have you in school, a pleasure to have you a member of our athletic teams, and congratulations to you and to your wonderful family.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to add anything? Jeff?
Dave, I can remember when I first came to Cooperstown a number of years ago, and I had played a lot of hoops in Western New York, Buffalo, and I came over to the old gym, and standing on the steps was Malcolm Brooks, and I got out of my car, and being a city boy, I locked it. So as I walked up to the steps into the gym, Malcolm says, "You're not from around here, are you?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, people around here don't lock their cars. They don't lock their homes at night. It's that kind of community. So I proceeded to go in and started playing some half court with Cooperstown legend Skippy Coleman and others. And I'll never forget, I saw you coming in, and there you were. You remember these things. Your white sweatpants with red stripes. And I looked over and I said, who is this guy? You know, I got to get to know him. I was kind of peeking as we were playing. Because you always want the best players on your team so you can keep on playing half court. You got to win. That was the beginning of a wonderful, wonderful relationship. And if I think of characteristics about Dave, I think of his optimism, among other things. I can remember times when we'd go to tournaments after the regular season, and we'd go to Sand Creek and other places, and we'd end up playing these college guys who had finished their season, and they had teams, and we'd go in, and we'd lose by 15 or 20 or 30. We'd be driving home, and Dave would say, you know, we really should have won that game. Realistically, no, but a sign of your optimism. And for me, I think the one word that would capture you and your presence would be class. Jane, you outlined a number of adjectives which are certainly true. And for me, it's watching Dave, whether it's a win or a loss, or organizing a team, or coaching, or just being a member of a vibrant, vital community. It's class. So congratulations to you. Very classy individual. It's a great honor. You deserve it.
On behalf of the Cooperstown softball program, we have several coaches here, Mr. Weeks, Mr. Crane, and myself, and we have 3 players, Maggie, Ellen, and Christina. We just want to thank you for all that you do for our program. As an assistant coach, I appreciate, as does Mr. Crane, Mr. Weeks, I'm sure, that you seek our input. You never are concerned about anything other than what is best for the girls and the team, and we appreciate that very much. If you have been over by the field during the course of the last summer, you'd see him over there working pretty hard by himself many times, putting in new dugouts, all that you do for the girls, and also those 7 o'clock in the morning workouts that often are attended by boys as well. We just thank you and congratulate you.
I don't know how David finds the time to do everything he does. Because in addition to all of this, he farms. He made the decision not to go into teaching and continue the family farm, which has been in the family for 90 years. He raises beef cattle and sells hay. He has 2 fields that were in our family previously, prior to the current farm. And he has a great love
Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Jane, for that gracious introduction. And thank you for all that you do, and the example you set for us. You've embraced your family's legacy and philanthropy and stewardship of Cooperstown. I'm very, very grateful. They say brevity is the soul of wit, and since I'm not very witty, I'll try to be brief. Jackie Robinson once said, "Life is not important except for the impact it has on others' lives." Pat Fetterman had an impact on a lot of lives here in Cooperstown. And the people in this room have had a lot of impact on the lives of a lot of people. And there are many ways to have that impact, but Pat chose athletics, and that's why we're here today. I'm honored the committee has selected this amazing group of Fetterman Award winners. As I look around the room, I notice that these award winners all have one thing in common. It's gray hair. Which is not surprising given what we do. What is surprising, with one notable exception, we still have hair. Athletics have always been a big part of my life. I grew up hearing stories about my father's exploits playing for the legendary Red Bursey. Mr. Bursey was my elementary school gym teacher, so I heard a lot of stories from both sides, and most of the time they matched up. My parents taught me a sense of community. They were all very involved and taught us how that we should be as well. And my sisters are teachers, my wife's a teacher, so they impact a lot of lives that way. My father was my first coach, and he instilled in me my love of sports and competition. I played football, basketball, and baseball in high school, and basketball at Oneonta State. Graduated a degree in history and social science ed, and a master's degree as well. But I always knew I wanted to coach, so I took courses in college to earn a coaching license. I hoped that I could pass on the fun and excitement and life lessons that I experienced playing sports to my children and to others. The Greek philosopher Plato said that you can learn a lot, you can learn more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. And I know, Jeff, you mentioned that same platitude often. I found this to be very true, both with children and especially with adults. As I said, my father was my first and best coach and role model, but I learned from so many others, including Ted Kennerowski, Dick White, Don Howard. They were all my coaches in high school. Others like Frank Misek, Bruce Andrews, Sharkey Nagelsman, Brenda Jager, Brenda Weisman, they coached my children in school and the sports center's teams, and I'm indebted to them for the lessons they've taught me. And still others I coached, played, or volunteered with, like Dave Atson, Bobby Snyder, Terry Bliss, all of who are past winners of the Fetterman Award. And people like Glenn Noto and Mike Crane, Tom Weeks, Jim Cronkite, and many others, fellow coaches who have helped me tremendously. I've learned a great deal and continue to learn from all of them. And the kids, it's been very rewarding seeing my own kids and others, like these girls here, mature and grow into lovely young adults. And I've learned a lot from them as well. I'm sure they often think I'm not paying attention, but you can learn a lot when you just sit and listen. Sometimes things you may not want to know. And I'm still learning. I don't have all the answers. My philosophy has always been to expose my players to as many quality coaches as I can, like these people I've mentioned. 90% of what they're teaching is the same and reinforces what I try to teach, but the 10% that's different, often is what lights the lamp and allows them to reach their full potential. So, I like to have them exposed to as many different philosophies as possible. It's hard to be a teenager today, so there's so many opportunities, so many choices that we hope to help them make wise choices. And I've been lucky to get a lot of support from my players' parents as well, at least most of them. But there are those days, which I think we all have, when we think, it might be nice to coach at an orphanage. And I'd like to thank my family. The coaching high school girls has its own set of challenges, and growing up with 6 sisters helped me prepare for that. My daughter Rachel, who is here today, my son Eric and Ethan, who unfortunately can't be here. I spent countless hours with them in the backyard and on the athletic fields and watching them in the stands and in the auditorium. They gave me so much pleasure, more than they know. Rachel, they're all excellent students, and Rachel and Ethan excelled in sports, both had record-breaking careers at Cooperstown. Both won the Bursey Award for the most outstanding athlete, as I did. or chose another path for performing arts, but he excelled there, you know, singing with the Glimmerglass Opera and singing National Anthem at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and also singing at, in front of 30,000 people at a Texas Rangers game, which I can't even imagine, you know, doing that. I'm very proud of all three of them and the wonderful adults they have become. They say when kids, the days are long, but the years are short. And it's very true, the years have just flown by. Of course, I'd like to thank my wife, Kim. Earlier this month, we celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. I couldn't have done any of this without her help and support. All those late dinners and unfinished projects, thank you for understanding. So I'll conclude with my sincere gratitude and repeat the challenging words of Jackie Robinson with which I began. Life is not important except for the impact it has on other lives.
Well, in closing, I'd like to say that this is the 20th anniversary of the Fetterman Award. And our beautiful award here was designed and sculpted by Fred Blatt, who's here with us today. Fred, if you'd stand up. He's here with his wife, Lori, who, as you all know, is the director of the Thanksgiving Home. And Fred and Val and I were laughing earlier that no one wants their name on the side, so we've had to keep elevating. And fairly soon, Fred, you're going to be back to keep us rising towards the ceiling, as Dave said. But thank you, Fred. It's been a great award for 20 years and many more years to come with it. And I congratulate Dave again, and I thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you.